Hello everybody, this is GeneralJannis, and today in Chaos Tactics in 2024 I'm looking at the Tallyman or Biologus for Plague Marines. This was a question posted in one of my previous videos. I know it's a very long time ago, but trying a little bit to get back on track, and also trying my hand with AI generated images. So I don't know how you like these Plague Marines. I had to try a couple of times until this feels a kind of a death card with all the flies and tentacles going on. So today is the 2nd of March 2024. A lot of people have been writing and some kind words. People are missing my videos. People are asking how I'm doing. I understand maybe people are concerned how you haven't heard from me in a long time. So basically the answer is quite trivial. I'm okay, but there has been a lot of work, a lot of time with the family. This leaves very little time for spare time. I haven't played almost any Warhammer since September. Just had a couple of 2,000 point games that didn't start well with the beginning of 10th, and I didn't like the 10th so much. Now, trying a little bit to have some time, I played a combat patrol with a friend, starting out with his Tyranids. I had, of course, my Death Guard combat patrol, and I had quite fun with this combat patrol. Now we're trying to slowly move up to 1,000 points, and I was really happy to use the Plague Marines with Biologus from the combat patrol. So in this video, I will be doing who is the better buff for melee Plague Marines, Biologus or Tallyman. So the Plague Marines now for Death Guard are 18 points per model, so a big squad of 10 is 180 points. You can still use them as 7 if you're very Nurgle-like. The Plague Marines started at 20 points, went down to 16 points. Now they have been corrected again to 18 points, but probably still offer quite good value. As you all know, the Plague Marines have access to a lot of weapons, and they have various options for shooting options. And then in melee, we have the bubotic weapons, so that is the standard. We can upgrade 2 per 5, can have the heavy plague weapon, which is a nice damage 2 weapon, but only hits on 4s. And then we have the bubotic weapons, also 2 in 5 could have those. A little bit more AP, just damage 1, more attacks with the bubotic weapons, but then you sacrifice with the bubotic weapons and the heavy plague weapons, you sacrifice the shooting capabilities. So in a big squad of 10, you could have four heavy plague weapons. The champion could have a heavy plague weapon. You could have 4 bubotic weapons as well, and then one guy just with the plague knives. That would be full melee. You could also, instead of taking the bubotic weapons, you could have a bit more shooting. You could take the melta guns, the blight launchers. There is a lot of possibilities. And I've done a very long video when the 10th began with the Plague Marine analysis with more details. I'll put a link here. And then the question is, who is buffing melee Plague Marines the most at the moment? Would it be the Tallyman for 45 points? When he is leading the Plague Marines, they get +1 to their hit roll, so you will be hitting more with all your melee weapons. And of course, his other special ability is he can generate command points for you if you roll more than a 7 in your command phase. And then we have Biologus Putrifier, 50 points now. When he's a leader, it's quite interesting. All the weapons get the lethal hits ability. I have probably been ranting about this before, but it's interesting that most of the Plague Marine weapons are already lethal hits. So this part doesn't do much. Actually, for the melee weapons, it doesn't matter. All the weapons are lethal hits. The only weapons that really change for the lethal hits here is the plasma guns and the melta gun, which would be quite tasty if you hit a 5 or a 6 with a melta gun. But the most important is that the critical hit is scored on an unmodified hit roll of 5 instead of 6s, so you could be generating, let's say even with plague bolters or the plague knives, you could be generating a lot of auto wounds, not only on the 6s but also on the 5s. And his special ability is the explosive maladies, that you can use the grenade strat for 0 command points, and you can only do this for once per model, once per battle. But this still can generate you some mortal wounds, as we will see on the next page. So looking now at the damage output for melee, we have here the contagion in play. Of course, when we are in melee, the enemy will be in our contagion, so they will be suffering -1 toughness. Remember all my table outputs with data. The comma is a decimal point. This is how it's used in Denmark, where I live. And the first, let's say we have a variety of targets here, from the lowly termagants up to the Canis Rex, and we can see a plague marine, for example, with plague knives. He would be doing 1.1 wound on a termagant on average, with no further leader in the squad. He will only be doing 0.25 damage on a repulsor, for example. We can see here also the bubotic weapons, more damage, of course, than the plague knives, and the heavy plague weapon is the most damaging choice versus especially the high toughness opponents. Below the three first lines, you can see if we take 10 plague marines, a full melee squad, here we would have 5 heavy weapons, 4 bubotic weapons, and one guy still has to use the plague knives. And there, the fifth is of course the champion. And here you can see the total damage that such a squad would do: 17 termagants, 13 Necron warriors dead, 10 wounds on a rhino. And then the next block is if we add Biologus putrifier here. So here we would get the boosting on the critical hits. It improves, of course, the damage, but not so much versus infantry, or let's say versus infantry, where the plague marines would be wounding nicely anyway. It doesn't make such a big difference, but we're starting to see a bigger effect versus the high toughness targets. So, for example, if we look at the rhino, instead of a full plague marine squad doing 10 wounds, it will be doing 13 wounds on the rhino. Instead of 7 wounds on a Canis Rex, we would be doing 10 wounds on the Canis Rex, thanks to the critical hits on 5+. For Terminators, for example, it's less of a change here. And then the next, of course, is the Tallyman, the last block. Here we can see that Tallyman is really helping more for the low toughness opponents, like the infantry up until Terminators. I've color shaded it green, where Tallyman is boosting more than Biologus, and you can see it's more on the infantry type enemies. So instead of, for example, killing 13 Necron warriors with a full melee squad, with Tallyman you would be able to kill 16. If you had Biologus, it would be 14 on average. The grenade strat of Biologus should be adding 3 mortal wounds once per battle. This can be quite important if you're fighting a big scary knight or a land raider or something like this. You could soften it up a bit. You can charge in and try to do some damage with the big squad. But all in all, Biologus is the better choice versus heavy targets, and probably if you have a very big squad of plague marines, this is the targets you would like to go after rather than just some guardsmen. And then this page just shows you the same data, but now instead of only counting the contagion as -1 toughness, here we also are reducing the enemy's saving. The saving throw, if we choose this contagion, which is the most offensive option, let's say. So basically it doesn't change the overall conclusion. So Tallyman is still buffing more versus infantry. Biologus is buffing more versus the heavy units, the high toughness units, but just overall the damage output is increased across the table. I guess you could pause and try to compare between the tables here, but nothing much drastically changes on the conclusions here. So reaching now to the summary and final thoughts of this bit shorter video. A big squad of melee plague marines, probably in a rhino with a Biologus as a leader. Maybe you could add a foul blight spawn, a bit more expensive, but then these plague marines would fight first, even if charged. They will be able to deal heavy damage to, let's say, a valuable enemy target with high toughness. And remember, of course, to use the grenade strat at strategic moments. Hide the rhino, try to get out, charge, try to avoid being shot off the table, and do the melee damage here. The Tallyman probably is better to keep back with a shooty plague marine squad or a fireman squad to generate the additional command points, giving you some shooting power. He doesn't have to be in the line of fire, the Tallyman writing his stories on his book there. Another thought I was thinking before I did this video, I thought the math would clearly show that Biologus was best in all choices, but Tallyman is actually not so bad. And another thought is that, of course, Tallyman with +1 to hit, if you're rolling a bit badly, Tallyman will help you because your 2s and your 3s will be hitting anyway. Biologus doesn't really help you when you're rolling, when you have a cold streak of dice rolls, but he will just enhance. When you're already with a 5s and 6s, you would probably be hitting. Now you will be auto wounding. So he's like, Biologus seems to be more like the do even more damage type of guy, and Tallyman is more like bringing you more the average, that you at least get some output. But I think for a big bomb squad, let's say a big melee oriented Plague Marines, Biologus would be the choice. And remember that the flamer weapons, the Spewer and the Plague Belcher and things like that, they are quite strong in 10th edition, but they are not buffed by either Tallyman or Biologus. Lethal hits doesn't help, +1 to hit doesn't help with auto hit weapons. So this concludes the video. Let me know what you think. And going forward, I'm not sure how many videos I would be posting, but I would like to hear your questions or comments, let's say, to this video. Post some question like this one, which is best here, or how can you compare this and that, and then I'll maybe can answer in another video when I have time. I will not be doing 2-3 videos a week, but if I have time and starting to play again and get more interest, I'll probably be posting some more videos. I really miss what I miss most right now is the community talking about it. But since I haven't had time to play a lot, it has been really back on the table. And if you have a suggestion for a better picture generator AI, that would be fun. But I'm quite happy with this picture that I ended up generating. So with no further, with this said, take care, everybody, and have a nice luck with Tallyman and Nurgle blessing your dice, and see you. Bye bye.